Thanks for tuning into the Jurassic Park-Cast, the Jurassic Park podcast where guests chat with me about Michael Crichton's 1990 novel Jurassic Park, and also not that too. A big shout out to Christoph Oakes of Snail, and a big thank you to him for letting me use his band's music to score this podcast. You can find his music on Spotify and Bandcamp, and today's intro is from the song Atom Age Vampire Cat in the Brain, and the outro is Hummingbird from Snail's debut album, Snail. Alright, please hear this clip from episode 42, Control, where there is some very intentional and interesting character work being done by Crichton to show us who John Hammond really is. Again, the character work being done is subtle. In other words, it's what Hammond is not doing that shows us his character as opposed to what he is doing. To set the stage, this is when Muldoon and Gennaro return after they discover the gravely injured Ian Malcolm and have brought him back for first aid. This chapter is in 3 parts, the first being Gennaro telling Hammond that Grant and Hammond's grandkids have been attacked by the Tyrannosaur and are lost in the park somewhere. And then also John Arnold and Henry Wu are trying to repair the damage Nedry has done to the computer system. And the final part is Muldoon recruiting Ellie to help tend to Malcolm's wounds. But we're going to focus on the conversation between Hammond and Gennaro and what it means about Hammond. Here's a quick excerpt from the novel. On page 228, Donald Gennaro stared at Hammond sitting in the deserted cafeteria. The man was spooning ice cream, calmly eating it. So Muldoon believes the children are somewhere in the park? Yes, he thinks so. Then I'm sure we'll find them. I hope so, Gennaro said. He watched the old man deliberately eating, and he felt a chill. Well, I'm sure we'll find them. After all, I keep telling everyone this park is made for kids. Gennaro said, just so you understand that they are missing, sir. Missing? He snapped. Of course I know they're missing. I'm not senile. He sighed and changed tone again. Look, Donald, Hammond said, let's not get carried away. We've had a little breakdown from the storm or whatever, and as a result we've suffered a regrettable, unfortunate accident. And that's all that's happened. We're dealing with it. Arnold will get the computers cleaned up. Muldoon will pick up the kids, and I've no doubt that he'll be back with them by the time we finish this ice cream. Let's just wait and see what develops, shall we? Whatever you say, sir, Gennaro said. Let's break it down and see what it means about Hammond. While I'm not outlining this directly in this video, there are multiple references to Hammond playing God on Isla Nublar. Some references are more straightforward than others, but ultimately, in terms of control, Hammond is in charge, and he is like a god here. On page 91, for example, he says, "This is my island," Hammond said, "and I can invite whomever I want." On page 203, "Face the damn facts, Henry," Hammond said irritably. "This isn't America. This isn't even Costa Rica. This is my island. I own it. Nothing is going to stop me from opening Jurassic Park to all the children of the world." He chuckled, or at least to the rich ones, and I tell you they're going to love it. And on page 262, we get this. His intercom clicked. "Mr. Arnold, may I have a word with you, please?" It was Hammond. He sounded like the voice of God. All right, given the context, please hear these excerpts from episode 42, Control.
Characters. Donald Gennaro. Gennaro sits with Hammond in a deserted cafeteria on page 228. Gennaro watches Hammond, quote, deliberately eating, and it gives him a chill. Hammond's lack of emotional response to his grandkids being missing in the park discomforts him, to a point that he feels he has to specifically address the subject to make sure that Hammond is entirely clear that, your grandkids aren't okay. They are missing, and they are very likely injured and are vulnerable to being lethally attacked by dinosaurs. Your dinosaurs. Hammond responds by deferring responsibility with a tone like, "Let's not overreact, this is no big deal," which is horrifically dismissive of the value of human life and the welfare of his own grandkids. Gennaro, though, concedes to Hammond by responding, "Whatever you say, sir," on 228. Even though he's already admitted to himself while out in the park with Muldoon, he's got to, quote, close the park and destroy it on 225. But he doesn't tell Hammond that yet. John Hammond. Hammond is spooning ice cream calmly into his mouth on 228. He was just eating ginger ice cream in his bungalow with Dr. Wu, admitting it was an old man's vice, and here he is at the cafeteria now eating more ice cream. Hammond deflects the subject of concern for his own grandkids, quote, "I am sure we'll find them. I keep telling everyone this park is made for kids," on 228. He snaps at Gennaro not because he's upset his kids are missing, but because he's defending his character? He's ensuring Gennaro that he's not senile and is fully aware of the circumstances, returns to his maudlin sentimentality. Let's not get carried away. And this is a little breakdown from the storm, and we're dealing with it. Responsibility and safety. Hammond is portrayed through Gennaro's perspective with a chilling detachment to reality. He's not expressing human emotion nor concern for his grandkids, but rather reacting like someone who's got nothing left to lose, someone who's past the point of no return. There's no point at this point doing anything differently, making any changes. Everything has to remain the status quo. The park must open. This isn't necessarily godly, but this is, in a way, inhuman. At this point, Regis is a confirmed death, and Malcolm is knocking at heaven's door, but Hammond doesn't react with concern or even a sense of responsibility, just admits it was a, quote, regrettable, unfortunate accident, and we're dealing with it. That's all that's happened, he summarizes. That's them being responsible. Discussions. In terms of show don't tell, Gennaro sits with Hammond in a deserted cafeteria on 228, and Gennaro watches Hammond, quote, deliberately eating, and it gives him a chill. And this happens sometimes to me. Obviously, a text is showing you something instead of telling you what's going on, but you don't really know what it means. And by sometimes, I mean I bet all kinds of stuff go over my head. But the chill Gennaro feels from watching Hammond deliberately eat ice cream is lost on me. I could guess what's going on, that Hammond is almost robotically eating. Perhaps like a zombie, a soulless, emotionless automaton performing a task that resembles a human task, but it's being performed artificially. That absence of a soul or absence of humanity is revealed in the artificiality with which the task is being performed, betraying that the one performing the task is without a soul, perhaps betraying this disguise? And this is what is discomforting Gennaro. That's an interpretation. I don't know. Crichton's showing us something there when we're told that Hammond eating ice cream gives Gennaro a chill.
So there you have it. How do you feel about this interpretation that Crichton has outlined a John Hammond who gives Gennaro a chill, watching him eating as if without any human programming? And that this contributes to the God complex that Crichton is strongly associated with Hammond throughout the text. Furthermore, I'll offer this observation. The Royal Society, who are the independent scientific academy of the UK, dedicated to promoting excellence in science for the benefit of humanity, says that psychopathy is characterized by, quote, an extreme lack of empathy. Psychopaths may also be manipulative, charming, and exploitative, and behave in an impulsive and risky manner. They may lack conscience or guilt and refuse to accept responsibility for their actions. Well, this is almost exactly what we get from Crichton's John Hammond. He's not necessarily associated with violence, which is overwhelmingly associated with psychopathy in modern storytelling, but the Royal Society's definition isn't concerned with violence either. And recall, Crichton tells us in the introduction, the second paragraph of the novel, quote, biotechnology promises the greatest revolution in human history. So what does it mean to have a soulless psychopath playing God with the greatest revolution in human history? Sounds like a pretty big deal, even if it's just a theme park. But this is the message or the theme of Jurassic Park, that watchdogs must watch those in power, because those in power could be psychopaths. Let's be frank, I'm sure you can think of a few folks in power that lack empathy, are manipulative, charming, and exploitative, and refuse to accept responsibility for their actions, right? It might have been even better of Crichton to have offered some suggestion as to how to be watchdogs, or how to identify psychopaths, or how to handle them, but Crichton was more of a problem finder than a problem solver. Alright, a big thanks to you for tuning in. If you're interested in more of the podcast, you can find it wherever podcasts are, and just look for Juras-Sick Park-Cast, include those hyphens, or Jurassic Park Podcast, that might work too. And if you like this video, you can like and subscribe and receive notifications when a new one is available. There is a lot more to come. Until next time.